while we have the USA versus Canada rematch in the championship game, the U.S. was dealt a pretty big blow this morning. Actually, breaking news and a statement from the Bruins this morning was that Charlie McAvoy will not be playing in the championship game. He was checked into Mass General last night after the game, of which he was scratched anyway. I don't know if he was going to play anyway. The U.S. held out a couple of players there. Matthew Tkachuk didn't play. Matthews didn't play. McAvoy didn't as well. And he goes in for an upper body injury. There's rumors about, an infection. He also got hit pretty hard into the post in game 1 against Finland in his shoulder. I don't know if that's it, but he is out after being maybe the U.S.'s best player against Canada on Saturday, like really set the tone after giving McDavid a half a step on that one goal that Canada scored. And it's been a wild morning in the USA camp in Boston because they were initially told they couldn't add anybody to the roster. But just minutes before we go on the show, Mike Sullivan is in his press conference and drops an absolute bombshell on who is coming in for the United States.
Given Charlie's situation, a two-part question. Is someone coming here or is someone already here?
Quinn Hughes is coming.
Whoa. Quinn Hughes is joining the U.S. for the championship game. This is like something out of a movie. Quinn Hughes, maybe the best defenseman in the world, right there with Cale Makar. You want to put them 1-2. I don't care how you order it. They're both fantastic. Quinn Hughes wins the Norris Trophy last year. He is a game breaker on both ends of the ice, and he's kind of been dealing with this injury that keeps him out of the tournament initially. But when the U.S. needs him, they say, hey, Charlie's down. We don't have anybody else. He says, I'm ready to go, coach. And he is in Boston, a guy that lives on the other side of the continent, by the way, playing for Vancouver, is flying across the nation and into another nation, the old 2011 Stanley Cup final trek, to come play for the USA against Canada in the championship game. I mean, can you even write shit like this? What a get for the U.S. Everyone was bitching from the Canadian side that Cale Makar couldn't play on Saturday, and all I kept saying was, we don't even have Quinn Hughes. Like arguably the best defenseman on the planet. So we each get down one. The U.S. has been down one this whole tournament. You add him into this. Does he bring you the physicality that you had big time from McAvoy in that Canada game? No, he doesn't. But he gives you A, still excellent defense, and B, game-breaking type of offensive skill. I mean, that's why he and Makar are the two best. Like, just skill off the charts. Talk about a guy who can quarterback what has been a lackluster USA power play. Here is your guy. Here's your guy to do that. Him with Werenski, I mean, there's so much skill on that back end. Adam Fox, of course, as well, who can bring some oomph too. So you lose a bit in that physicality department, no doubt. Like McAvoy rocked Connor McDavid in a way that he probably has not been rocked in his NHL career in that game on Saturday, and was all over the place, especially on the penalty kill. He was awesome in that game. And I said it was the best I've seen Charlie McAvoy play in 2 years. So this sucks that he's out for both Team USA and the Bruins, which we'll talk about later. But to be able to drop your balls on the table and bring Quinn Hughes in here and say, yeah, we got a guy. Yeah, I know a guy. I'll call him up. You heard of him? He won this thing called the Norris Trophy last year. I don't know. He's not one to brag. Now he gets to play with his brother Jack, which they were both looking forward to in this tournament. I mean, what a get for the U.S. I am such a huge Quinn Hughes fan. I don't know how you can't be unless you're just a real Canucks hater. I mean, he's one of the most likable guys in the league, and he's also such a damn good player, man. And he is, like, you want to talk about these World Cups of hockey, these Olympic games, one of which coming up next year, like the future of Team USA. That is your number one defenseman for the next 5 or 6 years anyway. Right? The kid's like 25, 24 years old. I think he's 24. Like that is your guy, and a great poster child for the U.S. development program, by the way. But what a boost when you didn't think you had one for the U.S. Canada comes in off a victory, of which they looked pretty convincing for most of the game. I know they let Finland back in it. They go from 4-0 up in the third period to 4-3 with 1:20 left, but they get the empty netter. And the U.S. didn't look great on Monday night. They literally didn't have anything to play for and had scratched some of their most important guys. Brady Tkachuk gets hurt in the first period, doesn't come back. Mike Sullivan says they are playing, both Tkachuk brothers, after Matthew got injured in the third period against Canada. But they're going to be there. Quinn Hughes is going to be there. It sucks not having Charlie McAvoy, but I'm interested to see what kind of momentum Canada gained and the U.S. lost by losing that meaningless game. Not having not only those guys out there, but not having their starting goalie out there and Connor Hellebuck. Can they keep that rhythm? Can they keep that physicality? Because now for Tkachuk and Matthews and Hellebuck and essentially Brady Tkachuk, although he threw some hits in that first period when he was out there Monday night, now you're talking about them playing a gold medal game, playing their first game in 5 days. And that's kind of a different animal. But man, what an addition. What an addition for the United States going into this final game. Now you'll get the best of both worlds. You get Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar. God, I'm here for it. God, I am here for it. I doubt this is going to be as physical as it was on Saturday night. But the hockey world is getting what it wants. This is so great for hockey. It's so great for the NHL. It's really great for the U.S., more so than even Canada, to have this matchup and have it be in Boston. And it has all the storylines. Now you add one of the great defensemen in the game in Quinn Hughes, but this is a game that traditionally Canada does not lose. Traditionally. Right? 2002 Olympics, U.S. was the best team at that tournament. They lose to Canada in the final on their home ice. 2010 Olympics, U.S. beats Canada in the group stage. They lose to Canada in the gold medal game. 2014 Olympics, U.S. was the better team. They'd blown everybody out in that tournament. They had just beaten the Russians in that classic, shootout with TJ Oshie. They play a Canadian team that was lackluster. They were barely scraping by. All kinds of questions and controversy around that Canadian team in the semifinals, and they beat the U.S. and they win the gold medal. So when push comes to shove, Canada wins these games. That's why this is so crucial for the U.S. You're on home soil. You've already beaten them in this tournament. You are the better team. Canada has the better top 3 players probably, but you are the better team. You have the better D-core. You have the better goaltending. Your top line's also pretty good. Canada's is better. But and you've already shown the blueprint of how to beat them. In Canada, I would say overall in this tournament, it's not looked terribly convincing. For 2 or 3 periods, they have, right? That first period against Sweden in game 1, blew them away, 2-0. And then, 4-0 through 2 periods on Monday. But other than that, they have not answered the bell physically. They have not gotten good goaltending. And they've had guys deferring too much. Now, this is a championship game, and they have championship caliber players, not the least of which being Sidney Crosby. So maybe that's different in that sense. In the U.S., they've got a lot of guys who are saying, this is the biggest game I've ever played in, which means this is not the biggest game Sidney Crosby's ever played in. Okay. It's probably not even in the top 5, but for the U.S. it is. So maybe that is, a benefit to the U.S. of hey, they're going to leave it all out there, but maybe then still it's a benefit to Canada because it's we've been in this before. McDavid's played in the game 7 of the Cup final. McKinnon's won a Cup. Crosby's won 3 and won a gold medal in overtime with his goal. They've all been in big games. Cale Makar's won a Conn Smythe. Jordan Binnington, who has sucked, has won a game 7 of the Stanley Cup final in that arena. I don't know if you've heard that. In that arena, he's done it. Connor Hellebuck is known as the great goalie in the regular season who can't keep up in the playoffs. But man, been a playoff atmosphere around this tournament. He's been pretty damn good. I don't want to say complete legacies on the line, but there are some things here that you will change the way you think about some guys if they perform in this game. You know, if I were the U.S., I would consider sitting Austin Matthews because it's technically a Game 7 at TD Garden. So he doesn't usually come up in those. He's not coming up big in those games, and he usually loses them. But like for Matthews, if you can perform on this stage, that's a memorable moment right there. You play for an NHL team that can't win the cup. So that's a big moment for you. Connor Hellebuck, same thing. Do we change the way we think about him if he's money in this championship game with the chips out on the table? It's fascinating. It's great for the sport. It's great for us. This Charlie McAvoy injury, not great for the Boston Bruins, but maybe in a backwards way it is. Stick with me here. Obviously, it's not good that Charlie McAvoy's hurt. He's your best defenseman. You're trying to ease him back in or ease Hampus Lindholm back in with him. It's not good. I mean, that's your franchise defenseman that's on the shelf for an undisclosed amount of time. We have no idea what this is. If it's just an infection, if it's a big time shoulder injury, it's weird that he gets checked into hospital after a game that he's scratched in. Not, they got to Boston on Sunday. It's weird that he goes late Monday night. That might spell infection, right? That might say staph infection. He's getting really sick. He needs to go. That could be that. But it's kind of an odd situation there.